Ben, and welcome to this little discussion about the Landlord Law Conference.
Hi there, Tessa. Yeah, very happy to be participating in this conference, as I have done on a number of other occasions over the over the years, and it's good to see the conference has got legs.
Yes. Well, I mean, I thought when coronavirus came along, for a while, I thought that was the end of our conferences, but I converted it to an online conference, and although some people are disappointed because it's nice to have a face-to-face event, actually for a lot of other people a virtual conference is a lot more convenient because they haven't got to travel. So
you're absolutely right. It would be interesting to see at what point we do feel confident enough to to be able to do these things face to face. But certainly for the moment, it's the only option available.
It's the only option available, but it's very exciting because we're able to do a 2-day conference, which is very nice. So for the 2-day conference, we've got 2 headline speakers. One of them is for landlords and one of them is for letting agents. So you are the one we're doing for the landlords, and we've got David Cox, who's going to peer in for his crystal ball for the letting agents. So you're representing the landlord. So that's quite fun because you are a landlord, aren't you?
Indeed, absolutely. As your audience probably already knows. Now, it should be a good duo for the 2 days with David and I will be talking about all of the storms that seem to be congregating around landlords' heads at the moment. I'll be talking a little bit around how brilliantly I think landlords have done during COVID-19, where the light might be at the end of the tunnel. We've obviously got the 31st of May as a focus date with the eviction ban lifting and what that looks like. But spoiler alert, there haven't been nearly as many notices or applications to the court as there has been in previous quarters, and I'll be talking about that because that for me is a demonstration that landlords are doing the right thing at the right time, often to their own detriment, and it's important that the association shines a light on that with policymakers, and I'll be talking about that at the conference.
It's interesting actually because I was talking to somebody yesterday who is a tenant, and I was sort of discussing the issues, and she said that at the start of the lockdown her landlord got in touch with her and said, look, just don't pay rent for 3 months. He said, are you sure? He said, no, that's fine, just don't pay any rent for a bit. And then he gave her a reduced rent for the next 3 months. And I think so many landlords have done that, and it's really nice that landlords have been so supportive for their tenants, and it sort of shows a very good light on the landlord profession, I think.
It does, but for me, Tessa, the strength of that landlord-tenant relationship isn't new. We obviously hear of the nasty stories, and there are a few around the edges, but fundamentally landlords are doing a bloody good job. And they have been doing a bloody good job for a good while. Now, obviously, we know that there are bad ones out there, and there are bad tenants too. But I do think COVID has shown that landlords have gone over and above to support and sustain their tenancies in everybody's interest. And frankly, had they not, we would have been in a far bigger problem than we are at the moment. And part of the problem actually that we have at the moment, we're obviously pushing for greater support for renters in terms of tenant saver loans like we have in Wales to be applied for England. In some ways, landlords have done such a great job. There's less of an appetite to want to jump in and support those people. So, but again, I'll be talking about the steps that we are talking about with ministers to try and advance that and other conversations. And by then, I would have had my haircut as well, which is going to be an absolute revelation. Tomorrow is haircut day.
Because you do have a lot of contact with ministers. Because I remember when you spoke last year, I think you just come off the phone from the minister, so it's all very hot off the press. So we'll be able to hear what a hotline to what government's thinking, hopefully. So that'll be very interesting.
It will be. We do have very good links with the Housing Ministry and the Justice Ministry, and I'll be able to update colleagues as to how that is panning out. We don't always get what we want, but we are certainly involved in the discussions, and landlords' voices are very much part of that discussion piece as well, which is important that landlords know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that the main thing, I suppose, that the conference is there for is to bring everybody bang up to date with the law, because there are so many different rules and regulations that landlords have to comply with. So we've got speakers covering most of the different types of regulations, and then if something crops up at the last minute, we've got housing barrister and Deputy District Judge Robert Brown, who's going to be giving an overview of all the developments, or the most important developments over the past year. And I've said to him, look, if there's something that crops up that isn't covered by our other speakers, can you talk about it? So he's very sportingly agreed that he would. That will be good, because that means that landlords and agents who attend the conference, you know, they should go away feeling that they know what they need to know.
Yeah, and you know, this event and, you know, wider industry training is really, really important.
Yeah.
Forget COVID for the moment. You know, actually, it has always been an industry that is perennially changing, much to you know, everybody's discuss. But you know, that is the direction of travel. Add COVID to the mix, and frankly, you know, what we've seen is, you know, regulations change overnight, notice periods change overnight, eviction rules literally change overnight. So, you know, this is a really good opportunity to be brought right up to speed with the people at the forefront of the sector that will be able to tell you the latest as to what's going on, and obviously you'll be able to interrogate them as well.
Well, I mean, Robert will be a good person for that, because being a deputy district judge, he does sit at court, so you know, he has experience in that, so he'll be able to update us on the court changes.
Interesting to see from his perspective how he sees things working. You know, with review hearings and so forth, there's a lot of angst about those, so yes, I might ask a few questions myself.
Yes, well, I mean, we will have the opportunity to ask questions. Robert, there probably won't be that much of an opportunity to ask questions during his talk, because he's got quite a lot to talk about. So I think he's probably going to have to take up the whole 15 minutes, but he will be there. He's promised me at the Q&A at the end of the day. So we will be able to ask him questions there. And hopefully we'll have, I mean, you'll be there. So you'll be able to ask him the question, because you'll be there on the Q&A call. We'll have the other speakers during that day. Talking about the regulations that have changed, I mean, the electricity regulations is another one that we're covering. And of course, that's something that we would have had even if we hadn't had COVID.
Absolutely.
And that's an example of you know, how things are changing anyway.
The only thing that's certain about this industry is that it won't be the same in a year's time as it was as it was today. COVID will simply you know, exacerbate that position, and obviously, you know, colleagues dialing in will have one eye on the Renters Reform Bill, which is likely to bring another raft of sweeping changes. Now, I don't expect to see that this year. I expect to see that probably this time next year. Now, it will be really interesting to see what reference, if any, is made in the Queen's speech, given it was referenced last time and nothing's been done about it. Be really interesting to see if that commitment to scrapping Section 21 and giving good landlords greater possession rights is still there. Obviously, we are very much holding the ministry to the latter. I can leave the former, but the latter is very important, and we will see how that pans out.
Well, the conference will be a good opportunity for everybody to have a general overview, because what I want is for when people leave the conference at the end of the second day, they can feel really confident that they are bang up to date with everything, and they feel able to cope with things. Because even if people don't discuss things in detail, the important thing is to know that a rule is there. Because if you don't know something exists, you can't go and look it up. You can't check it out because you don't know it exists. So I think it's really important to have quite a general overview and sort of cover all sorts of things, because we're covering some more unusual regulations that perhaps people know less about, like the construction and management regulations, and radon and things like that. So we're covering all sorts of things. So it should be an interesting day for landlords, or 2 days for landlords.
Indeed, and it's equally as relevant for letting agents as well, Tessa.
Absolutely.
Because obviously letting agents in some cases will be fulfilling those functions on behalf of their landlords, and they need to get it right.
They need to get it right. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, Ben. I'll look forward to seeing you at the conference and hearing your talk, and we'll speak then.
Thanks very much for the invitation, and see you at the conference.
Thank you.